you've broken the law. The second more important point that you're getting to is the terminator seed, which is what you're referring to, which is a genetic modification that as the crop is growing, the plant is growing, it turns off the reproductive capacity of the plant. It cannot produce its own seed. So this fecund approach of wealth of 50,000 seed on one head of amaranth is totally destroyed genetically. Because of political organizing, like you all do, and this is again my appeal, we need all of us to pay attention. Because of political organizing, that technology is still on the shelf in Monsanto, because it was so outrageous that you destroy the reproductive capacity of a food crop. But on the shelf doesn't mean that they're not experimenting. They are. We get that regularly. And we have to keep watch of the government that it stays on the shelf. One more comment. The farmers in North and South Dakota, who are not commie pinkos, farmers in North and South Dakota have prevented the genetic modification of wheat because they felt that they could not sell their wheat across the border. So farmers have organized in North and South Dakota. That's why we don't yet have genetically modified wheat. And it became a marketing issue for them, and they got their legislature to say, keep that stuff in St. Louis and Monsanto, so they did. So it's a terminator variety of genetically modified. Yes? Yes?
Through the OLLI program and the films that they're having, my husband and I saw, 2 weeks ago, a film that's called The World According to Monsanto. And we just sat there aghast. And I would highly recommend that Door have that film for the fall series, because everything that's been mentioned here, plus more, how it's devastating farmers in India. They can't continue to buy the seeds and the insecticides, the suicide rate there. I mean, it went into all the ramifications. You know, they're besides some health issues on the genetically modified. To me, it was what it was doing to our diversity of crops, what it was doing to the farmers, and the implications for being able to grow our own food is something that's not before the public at all. So this is such an apropos topic. I actually had the same book with me today that I took notes on, and there's a book called Seeds of Deception, and there's a website, Seeds of Deception, where you can order this film and find out more about it, but it's just shocking.
And that's particularly on the genetically modified aspect of this, this debate. Let me insert two quick comments. I'm talking food. Food is 5 to 10 plants. I'm not talking about, you know, green peppers and artichokes. We're talking about basic grains, basic greens, basic protein, lentils. So do keep in mind that this is a struggle for basic food. The second point I want to make, and you heard me say it a little bit, but I want to emphasize that none of us involved in this issue is against biotechnology. We hope it finds a prevention and a cure for AIDS. We hope it will stop ending the cancer plague we have in the United States. Biotechnology is a fantastic field. What I've been talking about is the political and economic use of that technology. So I want to make that very clear, that we aren't going back to the 19th century, but we have to pay attention how this very powerful tool, technology, is used. Yeah.
You know, we hear a lot about control, government control, socialism, etc. And on the other hand, what we're really talking about, you're talking about, and for instance, the film that was discussed that this afternoon, right? Flow.
Oh, that's a different.
It's still talking about the commercial control of our very, very basic needs, as you mentioned, 5 basic food plants. Okay, and and water.
Yeah.
You know, there are 5 companies that are attempting to gain control of the world's water. You know, water in a plastic bottle that you have to pay money for. I mean, does oxygen come next?
Yes.
Right? I mean, this is the scariest part, I think, is that we have corporate control and ownership in a conspiracy, in essence, to control the very necessities of life.
And
Talk about scary.
And I can give a task to Democrats. Secretary of Agriculture Vilsack is 100% on the side of Monsanto, GMs, biopiracy, all of the negative things I mentioned. He was the governor of Iowa. Many, 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 many farming groups, consumer groups, organic food groups informed the Obama team. Here's 5 people we don't want as Secretary of Agriculture, and here's 5 people we think you should consider. Vilsack was at the head of the we don't want list. So the corporations have a full representative in the Obama cabinet.
Do we have a couple of more questions?
Sure.
Yeah. When you talk about genetically modified food, I understand the political and the economic aspect of it. I was under the impression that it's not healthy to eat. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
Yes and no. Okay. One of the problems, again, with the end of the 20th century and the 21st century is when research is owned by private corporations, and now that also includes and has for a long time, but it's even worse now, includes our major universities. There's contracts to the scientists to muzzle them. So one of the problems is the leading researchers in genetically modified plants are the corporations that are not sharing their research. So they say to us, prove it, that it's causing nutritional problems or allergy problems. And there's not enough information in the public sector. There is now some more. You heard about the killing of the monarch butterflies. That's true. The demise of the bee communities was not genetically modified. So at least we found out that, okay, there's something that's not. So we have now what Monsanto would correctly call anecdotal evidence. We don't have full scientific evidence. One of the problems being is the research is privatized and secret. The international community, and they do that because they say we have to keep it secret because it costs us so much money to develop this that we don't want anybody stealing it just as we get the breakthrough. That's a partial argument. Jonas Salk didn't privatize the polio vaccine. It is a new approach to science, to say I have to be paid in order to do this discovery. That's one thing. The second thing, watch it. All of this is highly subsidized by the federal government. You're in my money, okay? But they can still keep it private. So what the international community has replied to this increasing trend of the privatization of research is they have a biosafety protocol, which is an international treaty, that you don't have to have absolute proof that this particular crop or this particular plant will cause harm to your your ecology, your ecological system. You do not have to prove definitive harm. You can say, we are going to do it as a preventive. We are not going to allow this genetically modified plant in Costa Rica, for instance, if you can imagine the damage that could happen to Costa Rica. So the biosafety protocol allows preventive laws to keep it from coming in because the science is still controversial. And then I only need to ask you again, guess what country is not a member of the Cartagena Biosafety Protocol? So it's yes and no. We have some evidence,